Hello and welcome to Aslan Live. Today we're talking about Barış Alper's statement, look ahead of the Eyüp match, talking about our Champions League squad, and rating our transfers from 1 to 10. Let's begin with Barış Alper, who came out with a statement a couple of days ago. And shortly he said that his absence from training was with Okan Hoca's approval. He denies rumors of wanting to leave for personal gain, says he only transfer if it benefited Galatasaray, and promise to keep fighting for the club. First of all, I think Okan Hoca handled this situation excellently. Because he never blew it up. He always stayed calm and positive and supportive in his statements. And let's not forget, he's a coach who won the league 3 times in a row. So it wouldn't be surprising if he had a big ego in this situation. Yes, Baris Alper has worked really hard, but we also need to remember that Okan Hoca gave him the chance even if we sign players like Tete, Ziyech, Zaha, Zaniolo. He always gave Barış Alper that confidence, believing in him. And of course, Barış Alper also took the chance. I'm not saying that, but he has much of both his coach and the players. And Barış Alper are saying it in himself in the statements that he owed much of his development to the players, to the teammates, and to his coach. Because good luck to perform like you have done in Fenerbahce, Trabzonspor, Beşiktaş. So yeah, he has so much, he owed them a lot. And I think Barış Alper and his team made huge mistakes, especially going on TV programs like Beyaz TV, and you name it. And it almost sounds like they were expecting the salary level of Osimhen, Sané, Icardi. But we also need to remember that I can understand that his team wants a salary raise, both for him and for his agents. But we also need to remember that look at Osimhen. What did he get offered from Saudi Arabia? He got 50 to 60 million euros. Icardi and Sané got offered from Saudi Arabia 20 to 30 million euros. We also need to remember that these players has played in big clubs like Napoli, PSG, Bayern München, Manchester City, Inter Milan, and proven themselves in the Champions League. I get that Barış wants, he's one of the most important players in the team, but you can't accept the same salary level like these players. It just doesn't make sense. Show yourself in the Champions League, and by then, who knows? So, I think the worst thing the board could have done right now was to give him a renewal straight away. After that, he didn't want to train, and going out to the media with his team is really, I think it's really important to not make that culture that when players are doing this kind of stuff, that you are giving them a new contract, for example. Of course, if he's showing himself in the Champions League in the next months, in the league, and still performing like he did before these things happened, of course you could talk with him if he wants, and if the club wants to renew his contract. But just do it straight away now to make him play or to make him to play or something. I think that would have been totally wrong, and I don't think they will do that. Um, at the same time, I think, Okan Hoxha, the board, probably have some kind of an understanding for Baris Alper also, because it was like a mutual agreement that if the right offer came for the club, for the player, Galatasaray would not stand in the way. But at the same time, you need to remember they are offering 10 days before the Champions League registration. It's not easy to find a player like Baris Alper. If that came in June, May, June, even July, other things could have happened then. But, to come so concrete so late, they probably have tried in some senses. But, it's then Galatasaray wants more money also. So just, yeah, it just makes sense. And what's actually, for me, the most impressive thing is that we're not desperate even after all the money the club has spent. Still, Galatasaray doesn't want to sell before the price is right, and that is showing so much strength to the club, not just on the money wise, but also on the financial fair play wise. Because if we needed that financial fair play, many people are saying like, Galatasaray, have used so much money, almost didn't sell any players. Financial fair play are going to take them down. But we see that Galatasaray is not desperate at all. We doesn't need that. So that is something I think is really impressive, that we are in that economic state with the club. So yeah, Barış Alper, we just need to look what's happening in the future. He says he's ready to fight for the club, and yeah, he came with like a apologize for the noise, not necessarily for what he did. And that's why I'm saying like Okan Hoxha and the board probably has something like in their mind that they are thinking, yeah, not that he's correct, but they have a sense of understanding. So yeah, it's nice that they came out with a statement also, because I saw like people were like, why doesn't he come out with a statement? Why? And please wait until the national team is over. He can't do it when he's at the camp with the national team. Just doesn't make sense. So, but let's go into the Eyüp game, which is in 2 days. And before we talk about the game at all, we need to talk about the stadium we are playing at, the Atatürk Olympic Stadium. I think I never has seen Galatasaray played well there while I watched Galatasaray. It's such a weird stadium. It's really windy. Um, it's the running field around. It just doesn't give that football vibe, if you ask me. Uh, it's beautiful outside, as you see, but I remember when a couple of years ago, you guys remember when they painted the field green, so our players looked like the Hulk, Torreira and Icardi, for example. Their hair went green. It just, for me, it's a really difficult stadium, and Okan Hoxha has also stated that he doesn't like to play on this stadium and with his team. Even though he scored, if you guys remember, against Liverpool many years ago, Okan Hoxha scored against Liverpool on this stadium, if I'm not totally wrong. But in overall, it's not like it's it's a weird stadium, and it's if you are unlucky with the weather and it's really windy, for example, it's so difficult to play also. And not only that, it's an early kickoff. I think it's 4 o'clock in Turkish time. and it's right after international games, and with the Champions League match coming next week. So I think this is going to be a really tough game, and I watched them against Besiktas one more time, and they are not they are far better than, for example, Karagümrük, a team we struggle against. This is Kerem Demirbay, who came out with a statement that before the game, it was the day that Ilkay is a honorable man, and he's like a brother, and Gotu Basha Aire Oynayam Bir İnsan Değil is not like showing himself off. He just but the way Kerem Demirbay is saying this is just, yeah. If you understand Turkish, it's just so hilarious. But one thing also Kerem Demirbay is saying is that, yeah, they are facing Galatasaray, the best team in Turkey, but we are not going to be afraid to play against them. And they showed that exactly against Besiktas, for example. Yeah, they are playing like with 5 in the back, but they had like a really weird setup on their goal kicks. Because normally it's like you have one goalkeeper, on the goal kicks, and you have 2 center backs in your 16. But what Eyüpspor did, especially against Besiktas, they had 1 center back in their 16 with their goalkeeper, while the 2 other center backs was out of the 16, really wide but low. So Besiktas pressed with 3 players, and it was so much space on the wing backs. So they often came out of that situation, and they really tried. They really tried to play, like good football. And it's gonna be a difficult game, I think, because they got some really. I think Eyüpspor got some good players, like for example Kerem Demirbay, like for example Mehmet Tiam. I'm not sure if he's going to play. I think he's a good player. Dragush, who played in Trabzonspor last season. So they have some good players, and they have also a bit younger squad than before. But they have 4 points in 4 games. I think I watched their game against Besiktas, and I think they were really brave in their playing style. They tried to play out. They are trying not only with the ball but also without the ball. I'm not saying that they are staying super high, but they don't let the man in the final third. Let's say if Ilkay is getting the ball in the final third, they're not afraid to go in his back and staying close to him if they are going to play like they did against Besiktas. But then there's the weaknesses, because on Besiktas' first goal, the penalty where Orkun Kokcu got it, Claro, their center back, was tight on Tammy Abraham. Behind Claro was huge space for Orkun Kokcu, and Tammy played him through, and they got a penalty. So if they are going up on that player, and if Ilkay is not turning, if Gabriel Sara is supporting him, for example, he can play through, Baris Alper or Salah or whoever, Sané, or whoever is going to play there. So also one another thing, they're trying to play out risky sometimes. If you can punish them there, with Torreira, for example, with our high press, that's where we also can get, chances. But also one another thing was that their press up front, Eyüpspor's press up front, I don't think that was so good, while their defensive line was pretty high. So it was much space behind the defense. So for players like if Baris Alper is starting, Leroy Sané is going to be a lot of space, or İlkay Gündoğan if he's taking his runs. So, but then we need to be, Galatasaray needs to be much better than they have showed against Rizespor, against Karagümrük, also against Kayserispor. Galatasaray need to be on another much better level, I think. If you're thinking about the stadium, it is Champions League game next week. I think it's going to be a really difficult game, actually. We just have to wait and see, but I think are going to be our 11. Let me see. With Uğurcan in the goal, Singo as a right back, Sanchez, Abdulkerim center backs, Eren left back, Sara and Torreira in the midfield, Sané and Yunus as wingers, İlkay as a number 10, and I'm not sure if it's going to be Barış or Salai. Because, we know that Barış has started with his trainings again, and I think that he's going to start with Barış because it is a Champions League game next week also. So it is extremely important to get Barış in form again. He got red card in the national team also after 6 minutes. So you need to get Barış in form again and get his confidence back. And I'm not sure if Singo is going to start or if it's Salai. Lemina had the injury. He played his national team on the national team. Singo and Sanchez, both of them are coming from it's far for them to fly from Colombia and Africa. So it is same with Jacobs and Lemina. So we just have to wait and see what conditional state they are in. And I think this is going to be our 11 with Barış at top. It's going to be good to see Singo starting and how we're going to play, because Eyüp has 3 in the back when they are also playing out. I'm curious how we are going to stay. Is it Torreira, Barış, and Sané? Is it Barış, İlkay, and Torreira? I don't know, but I think Torreira will be one of the guys who is going in that high pressure. Or is it going to stay at Kerem Demirbay? I'm not sure. Maybe it's Barış, Yunus, and Sané actually, who is standing there. And from what I heard is that İlkay is doing really extremely well on the trainings. Everybody loves him. He is, in extremely good conditional state, as people are saying. So, but we need to look in the games, in this game and against Frankfurt next week. But we have not talked about, and Osimhen is injured, as you guys know, from the national team, unfortunately. It is rumors that he is going to play against Frankfurt. I'm not so sure. I tried to search his injury up on ChatGPT. There it said like 2 to 6 weeks, so I don't know how serious this injury is, but we just have to wait and see. But he is really extremely important, Osimhen. Especially not just in the Champions League, in the league also. You saw how much the game changed after he came in against, for example, Karagümrük. It's not just his goals, but also his pressure, his smartness is in his pressure. He's not like Icardi in the pressure either, but he is extremely important in the pressure because he knows how to do it as a striker, where maybe Barış struggles a bit. And not only that, where Barış, when he's a striker, is a bit everywhere. He's wide, he's deep, he's on the right side, on the left side. There you have Icardi and Osimhen, who is always in the middle and getting players at them. So they are making so much space for other players But yeah, also Baris did a good job when he played there. Let's talk about Uğurcan Çakır because we have not talked about him yet. The video I think was so beautiful, and the music and everything looking, Turga Şeren, our legend, Simovic, Tafarel, Mondragon, Muslera. It was just so emotional. And the background music, I think that was just so well timed how it went up when it should went up. And I actually liked the video better when Mondragon didn't talk the first video actually. Not because it's Mondragon, but just because I don't know, something about the timing with the music and where it went high, for example. I think it just was exceptional, and can't wait to see Uğurcan Çakır either. Um, is going to be, we are going to talk about the transfers later, about Uğurcan Çakır, about every transfers that we are going to rate. So I will wait with that, but this video was fantastic. Well done by the club's media team. But yeah, we got our Champions League squad ready, and we registered 24 players. Out of, we could have registered 25, but we didn't have that home ground player. We have only 3 home grounds: Batuhan Shen, Metahan, and Yunus Akgün. Therefore, you can't add 25 in the list. It's only 24 then. And if people are wondering why Batuhan Shen and not Jankat, is because Jankat is probably going to be loaned out and has a much bigger potential than Batuhan Shen. But Batuhan Shen, we need 3 goalkeepers and we need home ground players, so why not put him in there? If you're not writing him up, you need 3 goalkeepers anyway, so it's no discussion actually. And as you see here, if you ask me, for example, maybe, Ahmet Kuducu, is he going to play anything? Maybe if I got like a young player there, exciting player who can play striker, winger, and attacking midfielder, for example. And I'm also a bit unsure about Yusuf Demir. We are not giving both of them any chances, so I'm not sure if they're just being filled up, in the squad. Because if they are like going to be loaned out anyway or sold anyway, we only have 22 players. Then it's just becoming shorter and shorter, and that's not good either. But and I know that many are not complaining, but are you call it a bit skeptical to Abdülkerim in the Champions League. And first of all, I also get that Abdülkerim is, he has his weaknesses for sure. His pace, his offensive marking. We remember in the Champions League 2 years ago when we played against Bayern München and Manchester United, for example, where he struggled a lot, even against Copenhagen. But at the same time, I think if you are getting a player who is going to bench Abdülkerim, because of that, Abdülkerim got so much influence. He's so influent player in the group. He's also, our second captain behind Mauro Icardi. If you are buying a player to bench him, I don't think that's a good idea for the dynamic in the squad. Uh, the hierarchy in the group, for example, is not just good to take him away straight away. Either I think you should have sold him and bought a new center back, or either you had bought a young player or that Abdülkerim is not in form at all, and if you're putting Singo there or Arda Unya is taking that chance, then it's something else. But to buy a player to bench him like straight away, I think that would have been like it would not have ended good at all. And we also need to remember that Turkish players, Okan Hoca also has mentioned this, that if you want a successful Turkish team, not just in the Turkish league, but as a club as a whole, you need to have a really strong Turkish core. And right now, we can't afford to lose that by, for example, benching Abdülkerim. So, as I said, if you're not planning to start with him from the beginning, you need to sell him. That's what I think, at least. And he is staying, so he's going to start. But as I'm saying, if he's not in form at all, if he's had a lot of mistakes in the Champions League, and then Okan Hoca is trying with another player, I think it's much more easier for Abdülkerim himself to also accept that, and the group also understanding that. While yeah, I think you guys understood my thoughts about it. I'm not saying that Abdülkerim is the best player in the world by any sense, but again, he is a really influential player in our group, and we don't need to forget that he has been really important in 3 of our championship also, even though he has his weaknesses. But yeah. So this is our Champions League squad. Other than that, Salah can play winger. Khan can also play center back. Okan Hoca also talked about that probably he's going to try Jakobs also as a left center back. And it's very versatile players there. Ilkay can play as a number 8. Gabriel Sara can play as a number 10. You can play like 4-3-3. Icardi going down in Ilkay's role. It's much options there. It's not like I wrote this 11 and this is going to be that 11. Not at all. But I think, yeah, and it's much more difficult to have a much bigger squad. In a perfect world, of course, if you had gotten replaced Ahmed Kutucu for one and Yusuf Demir for one, and loaned that Metehan and got one player there, or Arda Unyar, for example, but it's not that easy either. And I think in overall, it is always weaknesses in a squad. I'm not sure what you guys think, if this is like a strong squad, or if you're not happy with it or whatever, but this is our squad for the Champions League. And it's going to be difficult. We'll see against Frankfurt also. They have started the league really strong with 2 victories. So, and Liverpool, yeah, you name it. That's why Osimhen is so important also, to get back from the injury. But how serious that injury is, I'm not sure. But yeah, in the end, let's rate our transfers. First of all, I give a rating from 1 to 10. And Leroy Sané, I'm giving a 9 out of 10. Because, he was linked with Arsenal, Tottenham, Bayern München wanted to renew his contract. It's a really huge signing. And he came so early to us. It was in June, if I'm not totally wrong. So why I'm not giving it like a 10 out of 10? Maybe the salaries could have been a bit lower. I'm not sure, but in overall, it's a extremely solid transfer. Osimhen, I'm giving 9.5 out of 10 because people are saying like, why don't I give it 10 out of 10? That is because only because of the that we need to give 5 million euros in bonuses and the 10% of the profit out of the 75 million euros. If those things had not been in the contract, if it only had been 75 million euros, I would have given the transfer 10 out of 10 straight away. And you know, the thing here, one thing is to get the money to buy Osimhen, but another thing is to get the player to want to join you. That's, for example, one thing with Donnarumma when we wanted him. Um, he didn't want to join Galatasaray. As simple as that. You can probably collect the money to get, a huge star. Not sure about Mbappe, but let's take that as an example. But does he want to join the Turkish league, to join Galatasaray, for example? Probably not. So to, have Osimhen who's joining us at this age and also, wanting so bad to join us, it's just exceptional. It's an exceptional talent. No, exceptional signing. Singo, I'm giving it 9 out of 10. Why I'm not giving it a full score is one of the thing is that again, it's 10% of the profit. So if you're selling him for more than 30 million euros, Monaco is getting 10% of that profit. And also that, 30 million euros, it is expensive, but again, he's 24 years old, so I can also understand the price. And it's a bit about the salaries also. Overall, I think it's a really strong transfer because, again, you're buying a player who's 24 years old. He will probably peak around, I don't know, 26 to 30 years old if he's going that natural route. And then you can sell him for more if you want, or he's just going to be better and better. Liverpool did that with many players. For example, Mohamed Salah, where they got him when he was 24. He had failed in other clubs, or not failed, but didn't get his potential out. For example, in Chelsea. That's why I'm, for example, a bit against, again, when big clubs are signing players that are 18, 19, 20 years old because they don't have time to develop them. But like when you're signing a 24 years old player, it's if he reaches his potential, Singo, he has a release clause from what I heard, 60 million euros this season and 55 million euros next season. Of course, it would have been sad if he had played so good that a team would have offered 60 million euros and we would have not be able to keep him. Of course, but again, you're getting much money again. So I think like it's a really good strategy, this transfer, and it is an analyze without that I did of him. I watched him against Benfica as a center back, right center back in out of 3 center backs, and he played. I think he showed some extremely promising things. He also done some mistakes, of course, but his physique um, and how he's not afraid at all when he has the ball in his feet. Um, he takes the ball up with him, and he got the pace and the strength also. So a really exciting transfer, and it was Okanoja's first. The player he wanted the most. So yeah, I'm giving it 9 out of 10. You know, when I'm giving these ratings, it's maybe they're going to be much better or much worse. You never know, but I'm just talking from or looking from the paper. Uğurcan Çakır, let's talk a bit about him also. I will give this transfer 6 out of 10. Not because I don't believe in Uğurcan Çakır, but because of the price. 27.5 million euros plus 3 million euros or something in bonuses. I think it's too much for a 29 years old player. At the same time, when you're trying to wait for the absolute best option, you know, Donnarumma, Ederson, it is going to be difficult and you need to risk it. You probably risked 10 million euros. You know, probably if you try to get Uğurcan Çakır in June, maybe 20 million euros. I don't think Trabzon would have gone lower than that. So, yeah, you risked a bit, but again, it is what you know, if you know our club, they are doing these kind of things. And again, like Sign Kauchu and the board in general, don't talk too highly. Like the 3 names you guys haven't written about the goalkeepers on the list. You're going to be shocked when you know if you find out those names. Don't say that. As I said before, just be silent and do your work and do the signings, and we will applaud you guys. But don't talk too highly, I think. Uğurcan Çakır, his salaries are pretty good, I think. And I think we couldn't sign Ederson. One thing is because of the balance of the salaries he wanted. You know, Fenerbahce are paying him 11 million euros without the bonuses. He probably would have gone to us for a bit lower from what I heard. But at the same time, not only the balance, but also the financial fair play is... I can show that straight away. If we're looking here, from what I understood, how the transfers are working. Let's say you are buying Uğurcan Çakır for 27.5 million euros. Then you need to divide on the years, the contract length, who is 5 years. That's 5.5 plus, you know, bonuses and salaries. But let's say the salaries, because Uğurcan Çakır's salaries for me is 10 out of 10, to be honest. 2.5 million euros. That's 8 million euros in total when you're thinking about the financial fair play and the limits. Ederson alone here, if he wanted, let's say, at our club, 9 million euros, plus 13 million euros from Manchester City, and you're giving him a 4 years deal, for example. I'm not sure if the limits, Galatasaray's limits, was enough to do that. That's why I personally think why they waited so long. And of course, the balance in the group. If Ederson is earning 10 million euros, 9 million euros, what are Sanchez, Torreira, the other Turkish players thinking then? So I think that was like a huge deal that they couldn't actually sign Ederson. I get that Okan Hoca wanted Ederson, but I don't think it would have been correct to sign him with that deal. And I don't think Galatasaray was able to do it, if from what I understand, to be honest. And Okan Hoca said this also in an interview last week. that Galatasaray needs to think about, you know, the financial fair play, the to not get the ban, to sign players. Therefore, I think that was one of the main reasons. And people will then say, "What about Donnarumma?" Maybe about Donnarumma, they had some sponsors ready, because you know, if you're getting sponsors, you will that will that will increase your limits, also the capital increase and everything. Maybe they had something ready there, but not with Ederson, or they didn't think it was worth that work and you know, worth the balance, to make that balance unstable. And you know, Uğurcan Çakır is also a Turkish player. He is really important for the not only the Turkish league, but also for the Champions League registration, where he's you know, he has played in Turkey or academy in Turkey. He's not a gurbetçi either. So Uğurcan Çakır is exciting. I think he's going to be exciting also. He has been probably the best probably the best goalkeeper in Super League the last 4 or 5 years. But he has not proven himself in the Champions League yet. He has not played in Champions League yet. And he has started to become a starter for Turkey. He has played a lot of games for Turkey also, but now it looks like he's the first goalkeeper. He had a good game against Spain also, even though we lost 6-0, but that was not, you know, if he had not saved the he had so many saves. I think he had 6 saves, and many of them was like really important and really difficult reflexes. So it was just a bad day for Turkey. But let's talk about also İlkay Gündoğan, our last transfer. It is also analyzed video about him out. İlkay, I'm giving straight, you know, 10 out of 10. İlkay is more than just a player, you know, he's a football player. He's a character, he's a leader. And his salary, I think it's really understandable, is 4.5 million euros, no transfer fee. He's actually what we needed, what our other midfielders can't do, what Gabriel Sara tried to do last season, but struggled in that position, in the tight spaces, the running in the spaces to support the striker. And İlkay can do both that and be like a deep playmaker. He has a lot of experience. I think it's a really exciting transfer. Yes, he's 35 years old, but again, he played 3,400 minutes or something last season, and compared to Mertens when he came to Galatasaray, I said this in the analysis also, he played 1,700 minutes. İlkay Gündoğan played the same amount that Gabriel Sara played last season. So yes, he's still, you know, he's physical. One thing what I didn't mention in the analyze video is that he's not struggling. He has not that dribbling pace anymore, I think, from what I saw with the ball. Because I remember in Dortmund, I remember in Manchester City, early in his Manchester City career, when he dribbled with the ball a lot, with, you know, he was pretty quick with the ball. I saw that against Liverpool, for example, when they played against Gravenberg. I know that he's a really physical player, but that he could have created a big chance. He got the free kick, İlkay Gündoğan, but he couldn't get away from Gravenberg. So, but it's normal when you're 35 years old to lose a bit of, you know, explosiveness. But his smartness and how good he is with his left foot. I saw it from the Galatasaray's training videos also that where they had like a passing drill where he just used this um, left foot so easily, and the passes just went so clean. Again, when you are going to see him use that left foot, and it's going to be in his favor so much because of the tempo, the tiki-taka thing when he's playing 1-2s. If he doesn't, when you can use both of your feet, you're going to save so much time. That one extra second or millisecond is going to do that you're getting out of that space quickly when you're using your left foot. Again, because you don't need to use your body to use your right foot. So Ilka is a technical gifted player and so smart. His runs in the box also. He's the perfect, what Okan Hoxha wanted from Gabriel Sara last season, to support the strikers, to take those runs. He is just exceptional signing, and he's a Galatasaray. That's a plus for me. So and he also won, on the, when I talked about the Atatürk Olympiad Stadium, it's going to be his debut for Galatasaray, I think. It's the stadium where he lifted the Champions League trophy. So for him, it's not the bad experiences, but for Galatasaray, we remember the Besiktas game, the Super Cup, where he lost. So it's going to be nice for him to get his debut on that stadium. So yeah, and it's important you see just how much Leroy Sané also, how happy he was when his Abi Ilkay came also. So just positive. And Galatasaray wanted to have, not too many transfers. Okan Hoxha said it also, that he wanted like the best transfers, but few of them. Instead of, buying 15 players, just buy those players that are really quality. And I couldn't agree more, because if you're buying like 10 players, probably 4 or 5 of them, you need to loan them out next season. You're giving them high salaries, thinking about their performances. So instead, buy these players that you're probably going to be sure are going to succeed at your club. It's not 100% sure. Maybe 1 or 2 or even 3 of these players will not be successful. Hopefully all of them will be, of course. But it's no guarantee in transfers. But when you are buying exactly the types you want, and you're giving that extra money for those players, it is much higher chance to succeed with these players. And I'm thinking about Leroy Sané also, because in the last game against Rizespor, I was a bit disappointed with him. I know that Leroy Sané also still needs time, because he played FIFA Club World Cup in July. So he's not in his best form yet. But I thought about this in the morning, actually, when I was at work, was that we are really struggling when we are buying these star wingers. For example, when you bought Ziyech, Zaha, Zaniolo, Tete. I'm not trying to compare them to Leroy Sané, but let me just explain. And Rashiska. out of those 5 players, it was Rashica who did the best job out of them. But forgetting about all of them, our wingers has been, Kerem Aktürkoğlu, Barış Alper, uh, and not these star players. Salai also did a great job. So when you're buying like this extremely star players, Leroy Sané is on another level than Zaha, Ziyech, Tete, Zaniolo. Of course, Leroy Sané has played 10 years in the Bundesliga and Premier League, played a lot of Champions League games, have over 70 games for Germany. But it is something, yes, when you're buying a midfielder, he knows, his work, he knows how to, give the pass from right to left, his scanning skills, his ball control, yes. As a center back, Davinson Sanchez, when he's a star, but he still does his job. It's a bit weird about wingers. Strikers can just score their goal. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this correctly. But as a winger, if you're not running, for example, I'm not saying Leroy Sané is not running. I'm taking the others as examples. In today's football, everybody needs to run. Look at PSG, look at Chelsea, look at every teams, Barcelona. You need to be in that pressure. You need to give your 100%, especially as a winger. And when you look at today's football with the wingbacks and the fullbacks, when they are so physical, you need to run a lot. And if you're dribbling too much, you're not passing it correctly, you're killing the flow of the game. It is really difficult to succeed, and it's really difficult for a manager to keep playing with you if you are destroying that flow. So I was just thinking about it. Like, it's pretty weird. You have so many star wingers, and the best, if you're not thinking about the Turkish players who has performed the best, are Rashica and Salai. But the other players, their careers, are much stronger. They had a much higher potential. Yet they struggled a lot when they didn't give 100%, when they were egoistic. They didn't play for the team. They didn't do the press 100%. They played for themselves. Therefore, yeah, it's a bit different with other players, but I don't know about Leroy Sané. I think that, with İlkay Gündoğan, he's going to improve a lot with Singo behind him. If it is him or Yunus Akgün who is going to play, I don't know. But when they are going to play together also, when the team is just ready, I think it's going to be easier for Leroy Sané also, if he has Singo behind him, with İlkay around him. Also that Leroy Sané needs to come in form also. So I think this squad, again, we should aim for the top 24. It's going to be extremely difficult. I would have, for example, wished that we had met Liverpool much later, when they probably had qualified and used their second team, for example, if that would have been possible. But to meet them that early, we are meeting Liverpool in the second round. They need the 3 points. If we had met them in the last round and they had been, second place, they could have been ninth place or needed that victory also. But I think it's bigger chance that they would already have been qualified then. So to play against Liverpool when that attack is going to be so dangerous. Also against Frankfurt, they are really, Frankfurt does not want it to be too many Turkish fans there. So Galatasaray get the home advantage. And I get that. I really get that. I would not have wanted that either. It's the same, when we met Barcelona at home in the Europe League, if you guys remember, when it was so many Arabic peoples there. I remember that people were so disappointed with the atmosphere at the stadium. And it's the same for Frankfurt. Of course, they want that home advantage. And we know how many Turks it is in Germany also, who is, they could easily have, had 100% Turkish spectators there in that game. So I truly get why Frankfurt is really careful about that. So that is going to be a really difficult game. And who knows if we are starting with 2 losses. I really hope not. I hope we can surprise against Frankfurt. We are playing against Batshuayi, our former teammate. We will talk more about that Frankfurt game later. Other than that, Fenerbahce has got a new coach, Tedesco. All I know about him is that, he was manager for Schalke, for Spartak Moscow, for Belgium, for Leipzig, if I'm not totally wrong. He's a young manager, 39 years old. And I think it's going to be difficult for him, to be honest. It is always difficult when you're a foreigner coach, especially, to do it well in Turkey. But it's not impossible at all. If he gets all the players together, of course, people are saying he's a tactical genius. But it was the coach who failed totally in Belgium, for example, when he was a national team coach there. He got a fight with, not fight, but he took the captain armband, I think, from Courtois. And he didn't want to play for Belgium anymore. So you can't take those fights with, with the star players in, for example, Fenerbahce either. Again, he probably have learned also, but we need to remember that star players in Turkey, if people are saying, how is Icardi a more star player than, or Talisca is more star player than Mbappe, compared to the Turkish league, and also how Turkish people are welcoming the players, are making them to feel like a superstars. They are really, difficult personalities here in Turkey then. So to, it's going to be difficult. That's what I'm saying. And that's what I think Okan Hoca is extremely good at, is the man management with the players. Okan Hoca also said that it's going to be difficult this season because we have plenty of stars who wants to play, who is probably not going to accept to be benched, for example. That's why, again, I saw recently rumors just now that he didn't want a left center back because of that, because of the dynamics in the group. And Besiktas has got Sergen Yalçın as a coach. They lost against Alanyaspor. Besiktas is a really, it's a weird team. They also use money. I think they got Silva from Nottingham Forest now. Trabzonspor got Onana to replace Uğurcan Çakır, the goalkeeper we got. So Super League is not going to disappoint. I think it's going to be fun as always. And Eyüp is going to Samsunspor on a loan. He renewed his contract with us, and I think this is the best thing for him to do. He needs to play. He is turning 21 this year. His 2004 model. And if he's showing his potential and are developing more, it's just a win-win for both Galatasaray and Eyüp Aydın. I also heard rumors about Yusuf Demir that he wanted a high salary raise. I'm not sure. I will not. I would take it with pinch of salt, to be honest, with the Yusuf Demir situation. We need to wait and see what's happening there. But I think his contract is also expiring next season. Okay, guys, I think that was it. If you guys like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe button, comment down below if you guys think something that I forgot or if it's anything else. And if you haven't watched the analyze video of Singo or Ilkay Gündoğan, feel free to watch that also. I think it's interesting. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. Bye.